Good morning, everyone, listeners, viewers. This second episode of the Business Central ISV podcast, joined today by Anton. Thank you, Anton, for joining this second podcast. Very much appreciated. Um, this podcast indeed will talk about the ISV world from a Business Central perspective. What are the challenges, how to overcome them, how are you building, how are you scaling? Definitely a point I want to talk to you about, Anton, because I think you have a lot of experience on that point. But let me stop here and let's start with you, Anton. Let's dive into your or the companies that you represent yourself. What's your role with these companies? Thank you again for joining, but the floor is yours.
Yeah, my name is Anton, as Ingmar explained, and I am Chief Commercial Officer at NEB Solutions, and we have a app brand or an ISV business called SmartApps, and I represent both of them. NEB Solutions have been around for quite a long time, but when Business Central as a cloud service came around, we found that to be able to upgrade our customers, we needed to streamline their customizations. And we had quite a few of functionalities or customizations that were in kind of the borderline between a product and the customizations or reused customizations. So we built apps out of them, put them on App Source, actually from the beginning, mostly out of a kind of distribution or logistics standpoint, because we didn't really expect to make any money out of it by having others distribute it or selling it on App Source. It was just a simple way to be able to distribute one code base to App Source, and then know that if we update that one, we will update all customers. And that was the start of SmartApps and our ISV business. So it wasn't really strategic becoming an ISV. We just had to solve this distribution problem because we were upgrading a lot of customers in a very high pace.
To the cloud.
Then to the cloud, yes.
But today, although you said
but today, so the thing was that we the people working at these customers got to know our products, and people have a tendency to move. So all of a sudden they started working for another company, and then they wanted the same products. Maybe they had another partner, and all of a sudden it all started.
So I looked on the website of SmartApps, Anton, and quite some creative name conventions that you're using on your website. Not all, but a lot of animals.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that.
We have always tried to do things a little bit different. Maybe sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. But so the story behind the names is basically that all the apps on App Source have kind of generic the same names, where it's the name of the function and the name of the company who distributes it. But so it doesn't really say anything about the app. So we decided to take it all the way and like give our apps names that gives you a hunch, but instead is different. So like our integration app is called, or our integration platform is called Spider, because the spider is in the middle of the web and keeps things together. We have an app called Parrot, and parrots tend to repeat themselves, which means that our Parrot app is a reoccurring invoicing app. So we try to do something fun out of it. So
Yeah.
if someone likes one of our apps, they will probably remember it.
Great.
Because there is not another parrot app out there.
Yeah, no, I'm sure about that indeed. But I want to get back to, well, a good story on the naming convention, but I want to get back to, so indeed, SmartApps comes out of a system integrators business. You started this from
Yeah.
a distribution perspective. How can we, or well, knowledge, showcasing perspective, I would say, maybe from a marketplace perspective. But today, SmartApps is much more than just a new business. It's really becoming a strategic business for you with a different business model, going beyond.
Absolutely.
You're based in Sweden, going beyond Sweden. Can you talk a little bit about how how you shifted from a SI business, well, especially you, if you're working for both companies, how you're looking at the NAB business and how you're shifting to the ISV business called SmartApps?
I wouldn't say we're shifting, but the businesses are leveraging each other. Where we use our SI business to find these crucial business problems for SMBs around the world. Because NAB Solutions, who is a VAR or an SI, we serve companies all over the world, and by when we do those kind of projects, we find these business problems, and those business problems, if we find them more than once, we can communicate that to SmartApps or our product department, and they could build out apps out of it if there isn't an app where they could add that functionality. So these businesses are leveraging each other, and then by uh, so I would say that that's the strategy for growth, uh, solving crucial business problems rather than hunting down like um, C-level people at other partners, because we think that if we could make life easier for users and consultants, they will promote our apps. So we find the bottom-up strategy a lot more successful than trying to come from it at the other end, where you create this like dream or where you tell people that they're going to make a lot of money out of selling your apps, because it's a big shift starting with a new ISV.
Well, especially that, but also where NAB, your SI company, is only selling to its direct customers, I suppose.
Yeah,
Your ISV business, SmartApps, is not only selling your apps to NAB, but
no,
also selling, I assume, to other partners, not only in
absolutely,
Sweden, but
absolutely.
in Europe and probably worldwide.
Yes, yes. But we the the strategy there is to find these consultants that could get curious about our apps and the problems that they solve. Of course, we need to promote it to management level as well, but people look around, uh, especially those that have really like embraced the cloud. They are looking around right now. So um, if you have an app which is kind of unique and solves something which solves a problem that a lot of customers have, you will get traction.
That brings me to the point of scalability, and we've talked about this before, Anton. Well, we go way back, if I can use that sentence. Scalability, especially in the cloud world, is like a needed, easier
Yes,
probably, but especially it also has challenges because, well, your support model, your update model, your innovation, finding these partners. Can you share a bit on how SmartApps is looking at scalability, how you are scaling, to which countries you are scaling, and what are your projections for the future?
The I wouldn't say that we're because our our apps, they if we get attention from a partner, we start exploring their customers and how could we help them. And if they're in Europe, yeah, then we will probably get a few installs in different European countries. We have also got quite good traction around Australia, but that's because of partnerships as well. So we and from having these ambassadors, consultants, that all of a sudden they decide to, let's go to Australia for a year, and they want to use the same tooling as they used when they were in Europe. So we I wouldn't say that we're like really targeting a market. We're constantly looking around for these ambassadors, and when we find them, it usually goes quite quick, and we have some growth, and then we plateau until we find the next ambassador.
Yeah.
And I know that that's probably not the quickest strategy, but it's very efficient.
Clear.
Because there is so many people out there right now marketing so hard at all SIs and VARs. So this strategy is more of being helpful and trying to attack it from a consultancy point of view.
Now, recently Microsoft launched our CSP model on AppSource. Is this something that you are today already using, that you see value in having more sales relationships via AppSource?
We were a part of that. I don't know if it's called the technical adoption program anymore, but the like kind of the a few of the development iterations. We're not using the CSP transactability for AppSource. And the reason for that is that all partners that decided to transact on AppSource had to build something themselves. So they're probably at point like version 3.0 at this point with their transactability apps. And then Microsoft comes around and they launch a 0.1 version, which kind of supports this very narrow basic transactability thing, which like most partners that are transacting on AppSource, they're way past that point now. So they can't really use the CSP functionality.
So Microsoft is behind what partners have already developed.
Yes, they're far behind. But I also know that they're asking for more volume to develop it, which means that we're kind of stuck in a moment 22, where Microsoft wants partner to use it for them to develop it, but it's too little too late, basically.
Yeah. And I assume, looking at market transactability, I think we're at the early days. I'm sure that, I hope Microsoft is also developing that market transactability to version, you mentioned 0.1, let's call it 1.0, 2.0, and to 3.0, and to be on par with what partners have already developed today.
Yeah, I certainly hope so, because right now I'm guessing that we will see quite a big change in business models throughout the next few years. A lot of apps and a lot of things from Microsoft is right now like commercialized or transacted on like user level. Yeah, you pay per user. The thing is that that's quite a stupid business model, especially when we now get AI into the picture, because we get paid to make companies more efficient, which will bring the user level down. So um, to base our pricing on users would mean that the better job we do, the less we get paid. So I think we will see a shift to other models. I don't know when, and I don't know to what kind of model we will change, but things are definitely moving.
Yeah, it's a good point, Anton. And what we did communicate a couple of years ago, I think it's about 2 years ago, we did have, maybe still today, Power Apps based, or was Power Automate, sorry, it was Power Automate based on consumption.
Yeah.
So more related to Azure, how Azure is measured today.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of thinking, I suppose, going on internally on if this is possible for Dynamics at this moment. Well, I really don't know. But you mentioned a good point, AI. Well, within Microsoft, we're talking indeed about OpenAI, AI, Copilot. That brings me a certain way to innovation. As an outsider, from a business perspective or from a partner perspective, Microsoft is throwing, if I can use that word, a lot of information at the partner community from an Azure perspective, from a Dynamics perspective, the bi-yearly updates. Today, there's a lot of focus on Copilot, Power Platform integration. From an ISV perspective, how do you manage all those different innovation streams? Azure, Power, OpenAI, Copilot, Azure Services, Dynamics innovation, and deciding where we're going to innovate. That seems always like that you need to choose. Here we're going to innovate. Here we're not going to innovate. And how do you decide that?
I would say that we work a little bit as carpenters, where carpenters, they have the workshop where they have a lot of tools, and we meet a customer or several customers, and they will approach us with very hands-on business problems. And then the tools that we have at our hands are all these services that you just explained. With different Azure services, we have the Power Platform, we have Business Central, all of it. So what's up to us is then to decide which tool is the most efficient and the most useful to solve this specific problem. And then when doing so, we need to take into account scalability, cost, all those, and then we will find the most efficient tooling for that problem. And that's the big difference today from when we had NAV, which was what I had from the beginning when we were out selling these systems. We only had NAV, so it was quite simple. Like, this is the tool I have. Yeah.
True, but then at the same time, Anton, from an ISV perspective, you want to build something and then sell it over and over and over again. So that choice you're going to make has quite a big impact on the future, because it means you're going to need to support this for a number of years, you're going to update it, create more functionality.
For the moment, we are probably going to have it will be Business Central apps for us, because Business Central is our heart, mind, and soul, basically. But that's just the functionalities that surface for the customers. There might be all kinds of other stuff going on in the background. We integrate like Power Automate flows into a lot of our apps today, but those are functionalities within the app. We are using Azure services in the apps, but it
Like
doesn't really surface in the apps.
it's like a background service that you're
Yeah,
integrating, not really visible
exactly.
for the end user.
Yeah.
Clear.
Um, so that's what I mean with like we um, Business Central is our chair, and we use all kinds of things to create it.
Do you see that as a challenge for
It's
SmartApps? Or sorry, go ahead.
in the like in the system integrator business. This is definitely a big challenge because the possibilities, limitations, and like with the cloud is means that you have so much to learn all the time because it's basically new tools that show up all the time, and we constantly need to figure out, okay, how do we use this thing? And sometimes they're useless, and sometimes they're just great. And that's also the cool thing with working with Microsoft, because you tend to throw out new tools all the time. But it doesn't necessarily mean that they're super good at solving a problem from the beginning. It takes a little time to figure out when to use it.
Meaning you need to invest a lot in a very, not only in Business Central knowledge, but also in Azure
No,
knowledge, Copilot, Power,
Power Plat,
Azure
yeah,
services,
yeah,
to build, well, from an SI perspective, to provide value to the end customer directly, but from an ISV
exactly.
perspective, to build new solutions that can be repeated or sold repeatedly and in a scalable way.
Yeah,
Clear. Now, you mentioned something, and I want to go a little bit deeper on that one. You said indeed we're a Business Central house or chair. I think
yeah.
you mentioned
Or
chair.
we're a business solution provider, and so we use all of Dynamics to provide a good business solution to our customers. But
I like that.
um, we coming from the ERP side, ERP is important to us. Um, Even though I would say we see more growth in the other parts of Dynamics, but we um, um, yeah, Business Central is special to us.
So, yeah, when you mentioned your business solution company,
Yeah,
maybe even broader, you're a business productivity, not a productivity, but a business productivity company. By using your tools, companies can become more productive from a, well, from a structured business perspective. Not talking about the Word and the Excel and the Outlook here, but really
yeah,
business productivity tools.
absolutely. That's what we that's kind of the end goal. But when you if you approach an SMB um, and they uh, they usually don't know much about Dynamics Business Central and the Microsoft Biz Apps kind of value proposition, what it adds. So to come from whatever like smaller accounting software that they usually had before and come on to this is a big journey or a long journey. So in the beginning, we probably just want to help them to understand where also the apps becomes a pretty crucial part, because if we would need to build all the things that they need, the project would become too big and they couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
So that's why all the business problems that we see all the time, we want to have an app for it. So in the beginning, we get kind of a good base or a start solution in place. After that, they kind of know what they're doing, because all of a sudden they get the possibility to measure. Because before this, they probably could only measure things in their chart of accounts. Now we have all these kind of ledgers of different transactions where they could start get the more granular view of their business. And then when they know what they're doing, good and not so well, we can help them develop the part of their business where they have the best potential.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned, you didn't mention the name, but you said like, hey, there's another solution within the Dynamics family that's growing faster. Can you share a bit about that?
Yeah.
Which solution?
The all the kind of customer engagement products.
CRM.
CRM, marketing. We see quite a lot of traction around field service for the moment.
Well, do you see integration points with the customer engagement solutions and Business Central? May that be dynamic sales?
Absolutely, but that's crucial. That's crucial. That's where that's why they're growing, I would say, because all of a sudden there is a customer engagement product with a strong back end, such as Business Central.
Well, I think you're one of the few partners, Anton, that are really embracing that whole platform, because I've heard Azure, I've heard the Power Platform, I've heard Business Central, Dynamics CE, the customer engagement platform. Bringing that from an ISV perspective to the end customer. Now we're almost at time, and my last question, as with every podcast that I'm doing, is specifically at Microsoft. Well, if you would have one suggestion to Microsoft, how Microsoft would help not only your ISV business, but many ISV business help to grow the business. How or what should Microsoft do to support that? And I'm not talking here about, as you know, not about like, hey, it's a discount or it's a promotion, but like really strategic. What could Microsoft do to help your business?
I would say it's around the transactability part, because I know that a lot of ISVs need to invest a lot of time and money into building out their own kind of transactability solutions. So every time we decide to make a change, we also need to have this payment engine that we need to change in the background. So if Microsoft would be able to get their CSP solution up to speed with where the partners are at, that would like accelerate and scale ISVs. At least that's my guess.
By using the app source as a marketplace and help you transact more easily, more globally, maybe find more partners easily thanks to app source.
Yes, and because it's also a thing with trust, where if Microsoft would charge the customers, people wouldn't be as hesitant as kind of giving their credit card to some random guys in the other end of the world. So I think that's and also like it's kind of expected. AppSource must be the first marketplace in the history of marketplaces where you can transact. That's kind of the thing with AppSources, is that you help small software developers to transact their software. That's what kind of
True.
Apple and Android did. So,
Yeah, and
which
still
is
doing.
and still
Yeah,
are doing. So to have an app source without transactability is must be
yeah.
very it's a different thing.
And I do know, Anton, it's a transactability is a top priority also for business applications. So I expect a lot more to come in the next months and years, months definitely. So let's fingers crossed, I would say.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
we are, yeah, indeed.
We're hopeful, but um,
This will
yeah,
happen.
we
Okay.
always give Microsoft a banter if we get
Yeah.
the opportunity.
We're at the end of the half an hour, half or 30 minutes. Time flies, Anton. Thank you very much for joining this second podcast. I've heard a lot of good suggestions to to Microsoft, but also how your business model works, how you're scaling, how you're innovating, how you're embracing that whole Microsoft stack, Azure services, Dynamics, Business Central, the CRM suite, the Power Platform. Very great to hear. I'm sure we'll talk again in the future. Again, thank you very much. Wishing you a very good day and talk very soon. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ingmar.
Thank you. Bye, Anton.
Bye.